I'm Dana, BridgePay's Client Relationship Manager. I would like to show you how to board a new merchant within BridgePay's gateway. Once at the login screen, you will log into your reseller account, and you'll be presented with the dashboard. To board a merchant, go to Account Management, and here you have the options of boarding under a sales agent or directly boarding to your reseller through clicking on Merchant Group. To create a new merchant group, click on Create Merchant Group, and you will need to type in your merchant's business info. Their business name, contact name, the business address, business phone number, and you have optional information of personal phone number and mobile number. You then need to enter an email address, city, state, country is defaulted to the U.S., zip code, and time zone. Once you get the basic business information entered, click Next. And it is going to put you into creating a merchant group user. So you'll need to create a merchant group user here. We have this wonderful option of copying the business information from the business info. So all of the information is going to carry over. And your password. And then you would select your merchant group user's role, the primary user's role. And if you hover over the role, you'll see all the features available within that role. And if you click outside, you'll see the other roles. If you have custom roles that you have created under your reseller partnership, you would see those here. And if you hover over them, you'll see what's encompassed in those roles as well, if you wanted to choose a different role. The merchant group role itself covers all of the requirements of a merchant group user and has all access of a merchant group user. So once you have your role selected, click Save. Now we are creating the merchant group. You have to create a merchant group to be able to create a merchant account. Merchant accounts need to be created underneath a merchant group. You can have multiple merchant accounts within a merchant group. So right now we have created merchant group for Coaster Sales. Our next step would be to create our first merchant account. So click on the Merchant Account tab and click Create Merchant Account. You again can copy the business information from the merchant group business info. So we're creating our first merchant account under the merchant group of Coaster Sales. And I'm just going to override some of the basic information. All of my contact information is remaining the same for this location and my address. So I will click Next. And now it is automatically going to make me create the merchant account user or the primary user for the merchant account. I'm going to copy business info. And create my merchant account user and their password. And again, I'll need to select a role for my merchant account. Same exercise. If you hover over the role or click outside, you'll be able to see the additional roles that custom roles that you may have created under your reseller partnership. And save my merchant account user. Once my merchant account user is saved, I'll be able to go into the gateway configuration and create my merchant details. So in the gateway configuration tab, I'll need to select my batch frequency. I'm going to have my batch close daily and the submission time. Now please keep in mind that at this time, all batches are settled in the Eastern time zone. So if my account is in the Central time zone and I want it to close at midnight, I'll need to bump that out to 1 a.m. to accommodate. Batch settlement email notification, do so here, and I can add up to 5 batch recipients of the batch settlement email notification. So I want to add Jane, and I want to add another email recipient. I can remove any of the recipients by just clicking on the little trash can to delete that email recipient. Dual action delay in days. If you hover over the question mark, you will see that the default action delay, this sets the amount of time in days that an authorization will wait before it's automatically reversed. So if you would like to set a default action delay, you would do so here in days. If not, the default is 0 to turn this feature off. The wallet site ID, if you need to create a wallet site ID for recurring billing, you would do so here. Just click on the auto-generate new wallet site ID, and that will generate your new wallet site ID. Again, that is used for the recurring billing module. Another new feature is our AVS and CVV settings. You can turn on the AVS and CVV settings here, and then you can manage the settings by selecting what AVS and CVV settings you would like. If your zip code doesn't match or if your CVV doesn't match, and click OK. You can go in and edit these at any time as well. Checking for duplicate transactions. You can check for duplicate authorizations and duplicate sales by turning those on. And you can also check for duplicates to include an invoice number in the duplicate check if you do pass through invoice numbers by turning that on or turning it off. The custom range of checking for duplicates, you can check all transactions on the same date or all transactions within the current open batch, or you can check for duplicate transactions in a custom date range, and this goes by hours. So if you would like to only look for duplicate transactions within 15 minutes, you would do so here and save. Once your gateway configuration is done, you would move along to the Processors tab. Click on the Processors tab, and to create a new processor for this merchant, you would click Create Processor. Select your processor type. We're going to go with credit card. And select your processor from the drop-down menu. Once you select your processor, click Save. Go into your settings and enter the required processor parameters. I'm actually making this information up as we go along, and click Save. After you have a processor added, you have the option of you can create an additional processor by selecting your processor type, if you're going to create a gift card processor, debit processor, and so on and so forth. You would do that here as well. We're going to get out of that. After your processor is created, you would go into the processing applications. If your integration uses WebLink, you would turn on WebLink here. And if you'd like to generate a processing password for WebLink, you would do so by clicking here. And you would need to select the username that you just created and enter the password for this account and generate your WebLink password. Now, this is generating an encrypted password for WebLink usage. If your merchants will be using the virtual terminal, you would turn on the virtual terminal here, and then you can manage the virtual terminal settings. Oops, I didn't save that, sorry. Either by clicking on Manage Virtual Terminal Settings, or you can click on the Virtual Terminal Settings tab. They get you both into the same place. You would select your industry from the drop-down menu. If you'd like to enable EMV transactions through the virtual terminal, you would turn that on here. If your merchant will be charging a convenience fee or a service fee, the optional fields would be selected here. You could select your fee type, whether it's a flat fee or a percentage. Would be done here. And enter the fee. And with service fees, you would need to select, there would need to be a service fee account, for service fee merchant account boarded within this merchant group to be able to use the service fee feature. Once your virtual terminal settings are complete, click Save. Now, if your integration is using Token.js and you need to create your Tokenpay API keys, you would turn on Tokenpay and manage your keys. If you need to create a new key, now please keep in mind that if you are using Token.js, here is your public key that you can copy here and your private key. You would need to definitely copy the private key and store that for the merchant usage, because once this is created, you will not be able to see the private key again. You would manage your key as well. You could deactivate your Tokenpay API key, or you could also issue it an expiration date at any time, or use never expired, and save. And if you remember correctly, our merchant account user was already created when we first began boarding the merchant account. If you need to create an additional merchant account within your merchant group, you would just go back to the merchant account tab from the merchant group level and click Create Merchant Account. And you would follow the same steps that you had followed previously. So I want to create a second merchant account under this merchant group. Plug in this merchant account specific information. Click Next, and you'll need to create a user for the second merchant account. Enter your password. And save. Now you'll be walking through the same steps as you did with your first merchant account, your gateway configuration, batch settlement time, default action delay. If you'd like to send batch settlement email notifications, again, do so here. Your AVS, CVV settings, everything that we had just covered. Oh, let's turn that off. And again, you would select your processor for this specific merchant account. I'll just use BridgePay test on this one since I am in the UAT environment. And your processing applications, if any are needed. And once that's saved, back out and see under this merchant group of Coaster Sales, we now have 2 merchant accounts within that merchant group that can be managed by the merchant group user. You can also create additional merchant group users by clicking on the merchant group user tab, and you would just create merchant group user and follow the same steps. Same as within the merchant accounts. Double click or click edit to edit the merchant account, and you can create additional merchant account users within there. And now you have 2 merchant accounts fully boarded within your merchant group. Thank you.